Okay. Um, this is just kind of a new thing I'm messing around with. I'm gonna call it, I don't know, Rat's Nest or something. I probably won't put that in the title though. But basically, it's just gonna be a little mini series. I might just upload these every once in a while. Or Mr. Rats, the co-host of KOD, has a thought and wants to talk about it. Um, and really, I just want to talk about, you know, their American dream versus yours. And I think obviously the Elon H-1B visa thing has been an absolutely ridiculous escapade that the right has had to go through over the last couple weeks. And what it really made me realize is that what this is about is just our dream versus theirs. And first, I really want to talk about what their dream is and how insane and just irrational and childish it is. Um, you know, the American dream for Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy is that we can have this, big economy so we can quote unquote like fight China in a vague way. Um, what we're fighting for, I'm not sure. It's like some vague form of freedom. Um, I guess it's like, you know, negative freedom to do whatever you want as long as it doesn't interrupt Elon's infinite immigration scheme. Um, and, we have to compete with China. We have to fight China. Because if you don't, uh, I don't know what would happen. I really don't. Some vague ideological thing will happen. They're like communists, quote unquote, even though they're just literally like centrist technocrats. Like that's basically what they are. I don't like technocracy. I'm definitely on the free market side for a lot of things. You know, globalism notwithstanding, at least modern corrupted globalism, which is just complete failure. But regardless, um, you know, Elon and Vivek, they view our purpose is to just have a big economy to fight China, and of course protect Israel. I don't think Elon cares about Israel. I don't think Vivek does, but they're more than happy to support basically an insane cult that worships like a Bronze Age sky god and uses that sky god to justify mass murder in the Middle East, and they're fine with that. They don't give a shit. Um, but yeah, so if that's our purpose, to them, the way we do that is we have big numbers on spreadsheets. Um, you a country is strong when they have big numbers. I didn't know if you knew that. That's the point of a country is to have really big numbers on spreadsheets and in equations that you can plug in and then have even bigger numbers. And you know what that means is that you need to import the entire third world at a breakneck pace. Now, obviously, it's very interesting that China doesn't do this, and that China is competing with our military, for example, just fine with what 1/3 the budget, something like that. Um, I have some relationship with certain military things myself in my life, and I can tell you right now, the Air Force, for example, is completely terrified of China. Um, they're terrified of the Chinese Air Force. They've literally said that China China every time we put a helicopter in our fleet or in a wing, China adds two, and for a third the cost because we don't have these wealth sucking, wealth absorbing military contracting organizations that charge a bajillion dollars for a fucking helicopter. Um, but yeah, somehow having these big numbers is just going to make America very strong, and that's going to allow them to fight China and protect Israel. And I guess, also just fulfill Elon Musk's autistic, insane goal. Um, you know, it's really fascinating because what we've gone from the moon landing in 1969, yes, that was like, that room was full of autists, of course. But why did we do that? We did it for America. We did it to show that America was strong, and it did. I mean, I think the moon landing is the ultimate accomplishment of American technology and science, and I don't think anyone would argue against that. It's just an insane, amazing Faustian thing to do. As larpy as that is to say, it is true. It's a very Faustian thing to do. Um, but now today we have this autistic South African man, um, and he wants to land on Mars, and that's great. But like, why? Why do you want to land on Mars? Just because? Because it's your autistic fantasy? Is it for America? Well, if America turns into Brazil as you do it, and then you get back and it's a third world shithole, who cares if you've succeeded? Who cares if you used 20,000 programmers from Rajasthan, India, who are, using ChatGPT to do 90% of their work anyways? Who cares if, you paid them $20 an hour to help you and it made it financially more viable to do it? Who fucking cares? You've accomplished nothing. You basically burn the candle at both ends just to, make a nice light show. It's a bunch of bullshit. Um, and really, the absurdity of this entire situation is that America could just easily just slow down and focus on itself. I think America is a deeply unhealthy and sick society, literally just physically and mentally in terms of like physical and mental health. But I mean, if Elon wanted to, he could just slow down. He could open a fucking STEM institute himself. He has infinite money. There are so many young men out there in their early 20s who maybe they got a shitty degree in business or something, or they got a shitty degree in something else, or maybe they're doing trades and they hate it. And like Elon could just be like, hey, I have a STEM institute and I want to train 20,000 programmers and pay them a fair wage so we can get to Mars. And yeah, it would cost him money, but he has infinite money. He just doesn't care. He doesn't want, oh, I really think it's a time thing. I think he doesn't want to wait. Um, he wants his results right now. And if that means sacrificing America so he can get to Mars by 2035 instead of 2045, he'll do it. Um, he will he will do anything to get his autistic little fantasy fulfilled. Even though it's literally 4 or 5 years of training. I mean, bachelor's degrees in computer science, bachelor's degrees in electrical and mechanical engineering, bachelor's degrees in astrophysics. Let's get these pumped out. I mean, there's already enough. I'm sure there's enough PhD astrophysicists out there to get that done. Just gather some people together. How many people do you really need? Gather some people, train the rest, spend a few years doing it. Why are we sacrificing this entire country to save 4 or 5 years of time? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like a race car. It's like a race car on the Indy 500 that right now is in first place. It's ahead of China, ahead of Russia, ahead of the EU, and it's thinking, I need to keep going. No matter what. And instead of slowing down to get repaired internally, I don't know, maybe the race car driver is like leaning out of his car and like, you know, pouring a tiny bit of gasoline into the tank. Or maybe he's like patching the tires with his hands or something. It's a bunch of nonsense, half-assed repairs that aren't going to work in the long run. But hey, it's keeping the race car going for another 10 or 15 laps at first place. Instead, he should go to his pit stop, get his tires replaced, get new fuel in there, do whatever else that pit stop's going to do, and then get back on the track. Yeah, you might lose some space or whatever, and lose some time. I don't even think that's how the Indy 500 works. I think they give you time for getting repaired. But anyways, my allegory is fine. Um, Ultimately, that's what Elon and Vivek's America is. It's like this race car that just cannot take a minute to fix itself. It has to just keep going for another 10 or 15 laps in this infinite race. I mean, the race humanity's going in, between different countries and different races or different ideologies or whatever, it's basically infinite. So we have this infinite race, and instead of just slowing down and fixing ourselves, we just go. And, at 15 laps from now, yeah, we'll end up in the ditch, but that's okay. We're still first place. Um, and yeah, that's their American dream, versus yours. And I think most people view the American dream as being a prosperous republic with a military strong enough to defend itself and its interests, like the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine is over 200 years old. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's in our interest to keep South and Central America and the Caribbean protected and safe from foreigners. And it should be our domain. Um, and really, I think what we should have done is spent billions of dollars making South and Central America and the Caribbean fairly stable and peaceful, so we don't have 60 million migrants moving to this country and destroying the culture. But instead we spent that money on global war and defending Israel. So, anyways, you know, yes, our American dream is to have a prosperous republic with a strong military and a prosperous economy that can give, you know, ostensibly Christian families a home and a community. Um, but to Elon and Vivek, that dream is really either evil because they're a Hindu and they worship like demon gods from like Iron Age Indo-European mythology, which they corrupted into worshiping like horse and cow poop and dumping trash in the Ganges and whatever the hell they do. Um, you know, I think Vivek hates Christianity. Obviously, he hates America and he hates Christianity. I don't think Musk hates Christianity. I think he's like an atheist. I don't really know. I'm sure he's an atheist, but I don't think he hates Christianity. Um, but he finds that inconvenient. The Christian family, home and community, prosperous economy. He finds that all inconvenient because it would take time. It'll take time out of his time schedule, and you know, having to wait another 5 years to go to Mars, because obviously if you gave Americans opportunities to get ready to go to Mars and to help Elon get to Mars, it would happen. I do not see why it wouldn't happen, but it would take another 5 years. Instead of doing that and preserving some sort of America for the future, he says, nah, let's just import 500,000 Indians to Silicon Valley. They'll become a new elite that can, enforce their Hindu third world culture on us. We don't give a shit. Who cares? We got to Mars. Look, here's the video of the astronaut putting the flag on the Martian soil, and then he left, and then he came back, and he came back to a third world country. And I just have to ask why? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why? Why do we have to sacrifice what is really the most impressive and wonderful nation to ever exist, the United States? I know I'm very frustrated with modern America, but the end of the day, this country is truly a unique and wonderful entity, and it's been dying for decades now. But we're gonna really secure the death blow right now. We're going to import a brand new elite of 500,000, millions of Indians, however many you want, and then we're gonna, maybe we even give DACA amnesty and all this stuff Trump wants to do, and then we're gonna seal the deal. We're gonna kill America, but hey, we went to Mars, and that's fantastic. Um, who cares if the moment those astronauts fly back home, they land in a third world country? That's kind of just my thoughts. You know, their American dream versus ours, and from here, I really just think that's what we have to drill into people's heads is why is that the American dream? Why is Vivek and Elon's vision? Why is that the American dream? Why do they get to set the American dream? Why does Ben Shapiro get to set the American dream? Why is the American dream not my vision, the vision of my people? And that's really what you have to ask in the end of the day. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. Um, thanks for listening.